And welcome back to another episode of Insight from Above. And today we have a very interesting subject and a person. And I know that every episode I tell you that I have an interesting MVT, but I know what we bring to you, it actually interesting, because some people, I'm sure they know some information that we already talked about, some people they don't. So for you that they don't know, that will be very beneficial to you. And today we have Rosie Constantino with us, and Rosie is going to talk. Hi Rosie, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Thank you for accepting the invite.
Thanks for inviting me.
I haven't seen you in a few years, so that will give us an opportunity to see each other today. So Rosie today, she's going to talk to us about fermenting food from tea. This is a fermenting tea, from tea to vegetables to, I think that's it, huh? Because there is no meat in your diet, right?
Well, rarely. When we first made these changes, there was like pretty much none. But
so what made you go into this?
Okay, so my husband and I were watching some Netflix documentaries about nutrition and health and stuff, and we ran across one that really kind of inspired him to want to make some changes in his diet and his health. Both of us were overweight. Neither of us felt very good in our bodies.
You take medication, he takes medication?
I took no meds, but I had a lot of health issues, from arthritis to irritable bowel syndrome to insomnia, you name it. I had like lots of issues going on.
And your husband, he takes a lot of medication?
He was on a lot of medications. He took 2 to 3 insulin injections a day for diabetes.
Wow.
And a pill. And he took 2 pills for 2 different kinds of meds, rather, for high blood pressure and pills for cholesterol.
Wow.
So he wanted to eliminate that. And the documentary we were watching, called Plant Pure Nation, basically said you could change your diet and eliminate these issues. So he wanted to try that. I wasn't absolutely convinced, because it involved eliminating like meat and dairy and
cheese,
things,
milk, and
all the things that we're used to eating that made food fun, as far as I was concerned. So I wasn't absolutely convinced. We watched a few documentaries, and after watching a few, I started to get on board mentally. Then it was trying to figure out how I was going to convince my daughter, because she lived with us at the time. She was 19, and I wasn't making 2 meals. There was no way.
Or 3 meals, one for you, one for your husband, one for your daughter.
So we got her to watch one of the documentaries that had a little bit of footage of, the animal stuff on the farms. And
oh,
that was like, it did it. It did the trick. She was convinced. She was on board. So we started by changing our diet pretty strictly. We eliminated all things that were to do with any kind of animal product, except for honey. And we also eliminated, and this was the key thing, I think, man-made food. So anything that was boxed,
pre-prepared food,
made in a factory. If it takes a factory to make it, you're not going to digest it all that well. So we really stuck with things that grew from the earth, and that's what your body recognizes, so it's easier for it to process.
Okay, so Rosie, you had a lot of health issue, and especially with IBS, and that was your trigger point to change your life, your eating habits.
That was certainly one of my motivations. So when we first started making our diet changes, if you will, like changing the food that we ate, one of the main things that I implemented was I started to drink some kombucha before every meal. And
which is this year?
That's the fermented tea. In fact, we were drinking so much of it that I started making it at home, because it was very costly. There were 3 of us drinking it. We could easily drink a liter all together.
And if you buy this in the store, how much?
A liter is about $10. So $10 a day was getting painful.
Wow.
So I researched how to make it myself, and I started making it. But I would drink it before every meal, and within probably 2 or 3 weeks, I was no longer running to the bathroom. And then within about 2 months, I could eat some of those really bad trigger foods and not have that impact. So I knew that my gut was healing, and of course I felt differently. So
I really attribute the IBS problems being resolved with daily, or with using this and with having it in my diet. And I still drink it daily.
So
I'm never going to stop drinking this.
A bottle like this before you eat?
No, not a bottle. Actually, you can drink quite a bit less.
Like a cup, let's say?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And, depending on how much needs to happen to balance your belly, it's going to be different for every person, right?
Yes.
My aunt had a couple of sips and started burping immediately. So it really depends on what's going on with your body.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will start to make health changes, if you will, and they will think that they're having a reaction to something. I love that word, reaction.
Yeah.
Because things happen, like they get a headache or they get nauseous, or there are things that happen that aren't pleasant.
But isn't it
your body is
detoxing?
Exactly, your body is processing this stuff out, and as you detoxify your body, you're going to have some impact, like bad skin or whatever. Your body's trying to move this stuff, this garbage out of you, right? So one of the things that the kombucha also does is, besides helping replenish your gut microbiome, it's a liver detox.
Liver detox.
Yeah. So when you're drinking that, you want to also increase your water, because you're detoxifying your liver. You want to move those toxins out. Drink a lot of water. It helps to eliminate all that waste.
So water is very important.
Water
in any
is
diet.
always important.
Any diet,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Another thing that it does is it has trace vitamins in it, so it replenishes your B vitamins.
And also the hibiscus is good for somebody that is diabetic, not just the blood pressure.
Not the hibiscus necessarily. Diabetes is something that my husband really, I would say the diet change was what had the biggest impact on him. But he does drink that and it doesn't affect him. A lot of people are worried about taking in anything that has sugar. Well,
But there's hardly any sugar. I tried it. There's hardly any sugar in it.
There's sugar in it, but the more you ferment it, the less sugar there is, because the sugar gets eaten up by the process of fermentation.
Okay, so it gets processed. So it's not really concentrated like you can have a piece of chocolate, for example.
Oh yeah, it's not the same at all. But a lot of people wouldn't drink juice, for instance, when you're juicing at home. Real juice, not the ones that you buy on the store.
The market, no.
Yeah. They think that there's too much sugar in that to drink. My husband and I did a juice fast, and that is when he eliminated his insulin shots. So
he's not taking insulin shots?
He doesn't take insulin. He doesn't take any medication whatsoever. It took about 2.5 months, and he was off all of his meds.
2.5 months? Mm-hmm. After changing your diet and after sticking with the fermented tea?
And we made lots and lots of changes. The diet is really the main one that impacted his diabetes.
And of course, if your gut is not healthy, it doesn't matter what you're going to put in it.
That's right. You need your gut to have the proper bacteria to be acidic. A lot of people have acid reflux.
Yeah.
It's not because they have too much acid, it's because their acid isn't strong enough. So it's not actually processing the food. Yeah, I know.
and it's because, I know quite a bit of people that they do have acid reflux, and they're popping all kind of pills to get rid of it because they have too much acid.
Sure.
But it's the opposite, that they don't have too much acid to break down the food, I guess.
They don't have a strong enough acid to break down the food they're eating.
And if they eat a lot of processed food...
So this is acidic. It will help acidify your gut. It's one of the things, such as lemon water. A lot of people have lemon water first thing in the morning. That helps to acidify your gut. It makes you as a body more alkaline, but it acidifies your gut.
So when you have, because somebody told me once, don't put lemon in hot water. You lose the vitamins. So if you want to drink water...
Probably the enzymes.
The enzyme, yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you drink water with lemon, I know it's good for you because it's good for your stomach, and also it does some kind of a detox.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you drink it? How you drink your water with lemon? Is it boiled water or just?
I would just have cold water with lemon in it.
Just cold water.
Yeah. A lot of people are doing the apple cider vinegar thing.
Yes.
That's another thing that acidifies your gut. So all of these things, the reason that they have a good impact is because they're acidifying your gut. They're helping you to absorb the nutrients you're putting in your body, right?
So if your stomach is not really, it doesn't have the proper bacteria. So it's actually whatever you eat, your body's not getting. Even if you
Right.
take vitamins.
Well, see, that's another thing that we implemented. We started taking a lot of extra supplements. And the reason is our food doesn't have the nutrients in it that it used to have.
That's
so
true.
with the monoculturing, which is our system agriculturally now, we're just like basically depleting the earth, right? So we're always putting the same thing in to a space, and all of the minerals and stuff are being eliminated because we don't have balance. It's all about balance.
It's all about balance. So yeah, that's
Right.
true. If we look at life, if we don't have balance, we're done.
That's exactly it.
So how long does it take you to prepare, let's say, a dinner for you and your husband, let's say, and how long does it take, and what would you put on the table since you eliminated mostly of the meat and the
Okay, so
the dairy?
when we started eating this way, I don't know if I've covered this already, but one of the things that used to happen when I'd go on a diet is I would kind of panic because I would think, oh, I'm depriving myself. I need food. That's all I could
Yeah,
think of. So when we started this process, I told myself, eat as much as you want. It doesn't matter what the quantity is, so long as you stick with the right foods. And so we really eliminated anything that was man-made. So we just had tons and tons of vegetables. There was a lot of raw food in our diet because of the fact that we were mostly eating fruits and vegetables. So occasionally we would, also have rice. We'd have legumes like various
lentils, chickpeas.
Exactly. We were like crazy about hummus. Hummus was a big part of our diet and still is a big part of my diet. Actually, I eat it every day. Things like tabbouleh, that kind of thing. And I went on Pinterest and just like looked for all kinds of ideas, and there's tons and tons. I mean, you can make a different meal for every day for a month if you've got like the right ideas.
So basically it's fresh vegetables.
Anything that comes from the earth, really.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this after this. We'll come back in a minute. So now I want to understand, because we live in Canada and 9 months of the year we have snow, we have cold, the earth is
garden.
frozen, no garden. So for me anyway, I know when I go grocery shopping, I try to buy everything fresh and everything in the season. Let's say if the season for zucchini, I will buy zucchini. If it's green beans, I buy the green beans. If it's cabbage, whatever in the season. And it's important also for our body to eat the vegetable of the season, because some food, it's not all year round. But because we live here, so we don't have all these vegetables all the time. So what's the best of the two evil? Is it better to go buy frozen? Let's say I want to buy green beans and they're not in season.
Right.
Cans, I'm not too keen about cans, because no matter what, the cans, they have to put some kind of a chemical or salt or whatever in it. So when you buy, let's say you want to do something and this vegetable is not in the market, would you buy the can or you buy the frozen?
I never ever buy cans, honestly. I mean, other than possibly chickpeas, that kind of thing, legumes that are canned.
Yeah.
I never ever buy a vegetable in a can.
No.
No.
So it's better to buy
It's
it
been
frozen?
cooked. So it's kind of
Exactly.
like buying juice at the store. It's been cooked. It's been processed. All the enzymes are gone.
Yeah.
Right? So
All the goodness of the food is no
the
longer in
nutrient
the
value
food.
is pretty low. I mean, it's not absolutely gone, but it's certainly nothing like what you would get in frozen, and frozen of course isn't as good as fresh. So you're doing your best, basically.
But the best of the two evil will be buy frozen instead of buying
canned,
the
yeah.
can, because the can is in a can and you said it's cooked. At least the frozen food is not cooked.
Right. Yeah.
It's still
flash
raw.
frozen, right?
Yeah.
And that's key. Raw. We eat as much raw food as possible because the enzymes that allow your body to process that food are there. Whereas when you cook food, enzymes are gone.
Well, of
They're
course, because of the
denatured.
heat, yeah.
So I try and stick with as much raw food as possible, and that eliminates some of the work, honestly. So
You don't have
it's a
to. You
little
don't have to.
faster.
So let's say you're preparing a dinner. What would be your dinner?
well, I have all kinds of stuff that I really enjoy eating. If I could just come up with one dinner.
What did you have last night?
What did I have last night?
Can you remember that?
I had something very standard last night that anybody would eat. I had spaghetti.
So you still eat pasta?
I still eat pasta occasionally, for sure. But when we first made our changes, when we were trying to address a whole bunch of health issues, I eliminated as much of the man-made stuff as possible. So these days, I will have pasta every once in a while. I will have fish every once in a while. But back then, it was very,
You didn't
very
have,
clean.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rice, this is not man-made. Rice
No, I
grows.
will have rice every once in
Okay.
a while, like once or twice a week. Same for pasta, like once every week or so. Lots of legumes. I have a lot of raw stuff, a lot of raw salad, raw vegetables.
So what do you put in your salad? I know lettuce is not the most, me personally, I'm not too keen on lettuce. But what would you,
You
put
don't
in?
enjoy it? Or?
I don't enjoy lettuce as per se. Like if I want to make a salad, I will take, let's say, a bunch of parsley and red onions and tomatoes and cucumbers and that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And
Use
fresh
throw-
lemon juice or a little bit of
Exactly.
vinegar in it. So it's all, it takes time to do, you know.
That is the thing. You know, when we started making these changes, I was working part-time. And I had made a conscious decision to devote a lot of time to self-care. That's a big word these days.
Yes, it is.
And that encompassed everything from, you know, establishing a routine that helps me to stick with some of these really positive changes that I'm making. Spending time on trying to exercise, which is not something I did. I had a very sedentary lifestyle. Meditation, which is something I'd never done before then.
So you integrated meditation in.
I integrated so many lifestyle changes, and I know when you're not feeling well, that's very overwhelming.
Yes.
All of the things that you have to address in order to be a healthy person, they take time.
Of course.
And when you feel like crap, you don't feel like you have the time to do, because you don't feel like you have the energy to do any of those things. So you implement one thing, and when that feels like it's part of your routine, you put in another. And as you feel better, you feel like you have more energy, so you can
to do
more.
something, yeah, to do more. So, and you actually teach people how to prepare their food.
Like I started teaching the fermentation
Mm-hmm.
for kombucha, and then I started teaching how to make other fermented foods like kefir and sauerkraut and vegetables and stuff. And as I did that, I started talking to people about their health. And I've actually started kind of consulting with people about what they can do for their particular situations too. So that's
Because
the business that I'm doing.
there is a lot of people with stomach issue, IBS
kinds of
issue,
autoimmune.
digesting problem, because I'm sure these people are eating either a lot of processed food or again man-made food kind of thing.
Right. Well, I mean, there's
Not
so
a
many
balance,
things that
yeah.
are out of balance about our lives, whether it's, you know, our exercise or whether it's the time for ourselves, whether it's,
A lot of people don't take the time for themselves
No,
because they're so
especially as
busy.
women, I find as mothers, we put our entire family ahead of ourselves
Exactly.
as far as addressing their needs, when in fact it should be the opposite. And I know that sounds selfish, but if you haven't taken care of yourself, you don't have much to offer anybody else.
It's not selfish. It's you
But
said.
that's how we think of it.
I know, because we're
Yeah.
mothers, and you know, if I'm gonna take this 5 minutes for myself, well, maybe I can do this for this child, well, I could do this for my spouse, or so forth, so on. So we don't take the time, and we need to take the time, because we are the caretaker. We are mothers. We take care of the family. We make sure that everybody's okay. So who takes care of you? You need to take care of yourself. So now, if people would like to get a hold of you, you have an email, designtechie@gmail.com. You can reach Rosie and her email, or you can give her a call at 613-600-3907. Or if they have any question, you can send, you can email her, and I'm sure you will send them the answer. So let's say somebody comes to you, example, I'm a client, I'm coming to you and I say, Rosie, I can't keep anything in. I'm always having problems digesting my food, and I don't know what to do about it. So what will be the first thing that you get, how you gonna, the consultation, how does it happen when people come and see you?
When somebody has specific health issues they want to address, I'll have like a short meeting with them, and I'll write down things that they need to address. Basically, we all have different issues, but
Of course.
they all stem from
We can
essentially
have
the
a
same
standard,
place,
but yeah.
And I'll work with that person to see what it is they're looking for from me. Do they need support as far as learning how to do this? Do they need to just buy this because they're too busy to make it themselves? Like, there's a multitude of things that I can do with people.
So people that did, let's say I'm working, I don't have time, but I have problem with my digesting system. So you can actually prepare their food for them too, and they can buy it from you.
Yeah, I do sell some of my fermented foods. Absolutely. If they want to buy it at a store, I can tell them where they can go for the store-bought stuff, because there is actual raw foods that you can get at Whole Foods and Cardish and stuff. It's more costly, but
yeah. But it would be actually better if they make it themselves, because the cost.
Yeah,
It's gonna
it's very
be-
cost prohibitive, but I mean, it depends on your income.
But I'm sure people would like to save money too, so they can actually prepare it themselves. How long does it, let's say just example, because the tea is here, how long will it take you to ferment the tea?
Anywhere between 3 and 4 days and a week or 2. It depends on how warm it is in your environment.
Do you have to have a specific temperature to keep your fermented
There's a
food?
range, and I teach that during my workshops. In the winter time, I have a
Blanket?
a really long heating pad that I put around my bottles, and I turn it on like when I'm at home. Turn it off when I'm not there. But in the summertime, it goes much more quickly because I don't have air conditioning, so it's nice and warm.
Because you need heat to ferment that food.
It needs to be a range of
A range.
temperatures. So it can't be
Okay.
like super hot, because then like it'll be out of balance.
Okay, so it's specific temperature that you need to ferment
But
your
it's
food.
totally doable.
So do you have to have a specific place in your house, or you can just keep it in
I
your
tend to keep
kitchen?
it in my guest room. I used to keep it in my den. I mean, it depends how your place is structured.
Let's say I have a cupboard in my kitchen that I can keep it in my
Don't
kitchen.
want to keep it in a cupboard though, because it's an aerobic fermentation, so it needs air. It needs circulation.
Oh, so you have to have it on the shelf kind of thing.
It can be on an open shelf, sure. Yeah.
So when you ferment this, is everything has to be shut, or it's in an open
No,
container?
it's actually it's covered with a cloth.
Okay.
And once you bottle it, of course, you're going to want to keep the carbonation in, so you seal it,
You
and
seal
the
it.
carbonation can build up.
You sterilize all your bottle before you
You don't
put
have to
it.
sterilize anything,
No?
but hot soapy water, and I use vinegar to make sure there's no mold spores anywhere.
To rinse your bottles that you're gonna reuse, and you reuse your bottle, of course.
Yep.
That's the other things. So, how expensive it is to have the courses,
The course is
and how long the course is?
The course, yes. I do a kombucha workshop, which is $40.
Okay.
And it's about an hour and a half, depending on how many questions. person
Very
has.
easy.
They go away with a starter kit. For the full fermentation course, it's around 3 hours. Again, it depends on the participants. If there's like a lot of discussion, and there tends to be, because we're talking about health and everybody's got their.
And you can talk for hours, of course.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that one is $70.
Well, actually, your prices are very reasonable, and I think $40 or $70 to actually buy a healthy gut and a healthy body is not that expensive. And is there anything that I forgot to ask about this process at all that you would like to elaborate for our viewer?
I don't know. It's pleasant. You know, one of the things I had read about was using apple cider vinegar, and I couldn't stand the taste.
I can't. I tried that, and it doesn't go down with me. And I know it's very good,
The
but
lovely thing about fermented foods, like sauerkraut, did not turn me on. Before I started making my own, the thought of eating that stuff really wasn't, even the word fermented didn't do it for me. But because you're making it yourself, you can flavor it with things that you like. If you love dill, you can put dill in your sauerkraut. If you love garlic, you can shove a bunch of garlic in there. Jalapeno peppers, whatever it is that you want, you can do. And to give you an example of what fermentation does for food, if you took a cup of cabbage, for instance, you've got about 60 milligrams of vitamin C that's available to you there. If you have a cup of sauerkraut, which is essentially the same thing, it's fermented cabbage, you have 600 milligrams of available vitamin C2.
Really?
Yeah.
600 to
Versus 60.
60. Wow, that's an extra zero. That's a big difference. That's definitely a big difference.
So,
Wow. So it is actually better to eat fermented food.
yeah.
Definitely. So again, if you like to get a hold of Rosie, you can contact her on her email, which is designtechie@gmail.com, or again, you can give her a give her a call at 613-600-3907. Rosie, I can't thank you enough. That was very interesting. It's an eye opener for me too, because just a question: how long did it take you to lose the 100 pounds?
It was roughly a year.
A year.
I don't own a scale anymore, so I'm not absolutely sure.
It doesn't matter, but it took you because you don't want to.
And it was 3 years ago, so it's something that I've maintained.
So you maintained that 100 pound that you lost 3 years ago. That's success, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for the tea, because I get to keep this. I get to keep this. I get to drink it at home, and maybe next time we can bring just one item, and you can show how to do ferment. Let's just one item, and this will be in the future. So thank you so much, Rosie, and namaste. Namaste to all of you. Until I see you next time. God bless.